Yo, what is up guys, your boy IzuKage here with a new what if, and this what if is what if Naruto had the curse mark. Like planned, the Merlin series was gonna drop as well, but I decided to make the next part the finale, so it's gonna be pretty long, so look out for that. Also, what curse mark ability do you want Naruto to use in this? Leave those in the comments below, and yeah, let's get right into the what if.
Talk to me nice, look,
Naruto is running through the forest trying to escape them. This time, from one of his pranks, the villagers didn't find it funny. Naruto was being chased by them and he's trying his best to outrun them. So he's running and stops before he falls down in a deep valley with spikes against the walls. He looks back and sees their pitchforks sticking above the low trees, and Naruto quickly ran alongside the valley. Meanwhile, this is happening. Orochimaru is watching this chaos and is amused by Naruto's true fear. He watched as the villagers catch him and start beating on Naruto mercilessly, leaving him unconscious and lying on the ground. Orochimaru comes from his hiding place and sees Naruto there, but something peculiar happens. His wounds begin to heal at an accelerated rate. He could see the wounds literally closing right in front of his eyes, and Orochimaru was shocked. And now that he thinks of it, everything actually starts making sense. He heard rumors of Naruto being the Jinchuriki but never believed it. He thought the truth was the fourth sealed it within himself and died, or at least that's what the third Hokage told him. Orochimaru looked down at Naruto and licked his lips and said, "You will make the perfect test subject." Now, Orochimaru returned to his lab with an unconscious Naruto, and I should mention he hasn't been banished yet, he's still in the village. But Hiruzen is starting to get suspicious of his odd disappearances and reports of missing children, but he doesn't have a reason to put two and two together. So Orochimaru straps Naruto down onto the bed. Okay, let's pause for a second. Everything I say about Orochimaru just sounds so sus. Okay. After strapping him down, Orochimaru returns to his lab, where he has been developing a jutsu that would grant him immortality. It would revert him into a new body, but he has to find one fit for it. At first, his candidates were... He was testing it out at first, and his main candidate was Sasuke Uchiha. But with Naruto being the Jinchuriki, he's thinking that he could control it and become even stronger. Maybe even implant Sharingans into Naruto's body, making him immensely stronger. But after numerous experiments, Orochimaru had no luck. He had failed numerous times over. Every time he placed the curse seal on one of his test subjects, it would kill them from the power overload. And he thinks with Naruto's healing capabilities, he would be able to withstand it. So Orochimaru returned to Naruto and used the 5-prong seal to tighten the Nine-Tails cage so it wouldn't interfere with this whole process, and then bit into Naruto's neck. Naruto's body began convulsing, trying to rip itself free from the constraints, and this goes on for over 10 minutes until he falls still. 10 days later, and Naruto wakes up in his house. He was confused at what even happened, but as Naruto started to recollect some of what he was doing a few days ago, like being chased by the villagers, Naruto felt a sharp pain on his neck. And this wouldn't be a one-time thing. Naruto would often feel this pain out of nowhere. And as Naruto grew to the age of 8, he had no more run-in with villagers and stayed on his best behavior. Not of his own accord, but he felt as if something is guiding him to do things he would never do otherwise. And by now, Orochimaru was caught and banished from the Leaf. So Naruto starts the academy and he sits towards the back of the class. No one really cares much about him since his antics died down and he isn't as infamous, you would say. So soon Iruka comes into the class and he looks on his students and he's pretty happy to see everyone could make it to their first day. So he quickly takes roll call, and after that they start some basic lessons. And you all know whenever this scene comes up, you get a quiz as well. So the question is, what character in Naruto has the strongest Susanoo? I actually think this one is pretty hard, so here's a hint. Whatever you're thinking right now, it's wrong. So don't go with your initial thought. Actually think about it for a few minutes. But anyways, Naruto is taking notes like a good student, and he looks up and sees Hinata staring at him. She quickly snaps back, but Naruto found it weird. Anyways, as the day goes on without much happening, just the usual school stuff. They have lunch, students socialize, while Naruto just sits and eats by himself, which he doesn't mind. He likes it this way. So, time skip 5 years, and during this time, Naruto had been keeping to himself, just trying to become a genin. He did okay in school. He's not a scholar or anything, but not bottom of the barrel. So when it comes to the graduation exams, Naruto is pretty nervous. He could barely perform any jutsus the night before when he was practicing, let alone expect to fight. So Iruka enters class, and with a tear dripping down his face, he said, "It's with sadness in my heart, I have to say, this will be our last days together as a class." And some students shared the same sentiment. Iruka was a really fun teacher. Even though the topics consisted of ninjas getting their heads lopped off, he managed to make it fun somehow. So, Iruka started to explain all the facets of the exams to come. First the written test, then the accuracy training, then finally sparring with your classmates for the title of Rookie of the Year. Naruto, though nervous, was prepared. So Iruka handed out the test papers, and when he got his, Naruto immediately started putting all his brain functions on overdrive. Some of the questions he had no idea what he was doing or where to even start, but he tried his best, and after an hour and a half, he completed it. So Iruka collected the papers and instructed everyone to go outside. Naruto and the others got to the field with the sun beating down on them. The students wanted to quickly get this over with, and Iruka followed behind them with a few pouches of kunai and shuriken, and this always got them excited. So first up was Sasuke. Sasuke, how should I say this, was just a natural when it came to anything shinobi related. He jumped into the air and spun, throwing the kunai and shuriken simultaneously and hitting all the targets dead on. All the students were captivated by this, and Sasuke, being the cool emo, he just lands and walks off without saying a word. The girls almost faint but catch themselves. So more students go and they do decent. Then when it comes to Naruto, like most, he just stood there and threw shuriken one by one and kunai one by one, missing around half of them. So he did average realistically. So Naruto just puts his head down and walks off. So once everyone was finished, Iruka brought them over to the fighting arena. He started matching up students to go against each other, and the first fight was Sasuke versus Naruto. The girls had full confidence in Sasuke and actually felt bad for Naruto. He would be humiliated on such a public stage. So the two face each other to fight, and Iruka says, "Hajime," or, begin. Naruto, timid, tries backing away, but Sasuke was quicker than him. He grabbed Naruto and flung him over his shoulder, slamming Naruto into the ground without mercy. From the force, Naruto's lungs were forced to exhale and he coughed up spit. Sasuke then mounted Naruto and started beating on him, punch after punch. Naruto could feel his jaw becoming dislocated and cracked. And that's when Naruto finally had what he needed to activate the curse mark: rage and anger. Naruto was tired of being left behind. Now he was going to show everyone not to mess with him. A burning pain shot through Naruto's neck and shoulder as he screamed in pain. Sasuke was confused and got off of him, but after only a few seconds, it subsided. Now, black markings started covering Naruto's face, and Sasuke was taken aback, but this wouldn't stop him from winning whatever disease Naruto had. Sasuke tried punching Naruto while he was still on the ground, but Naruto grabbed his fist and the two hands started to shake, trying to overcome the other's strength. Naruto kicked Sasuke in the stomach and flipped him over. He got to his feet and now Sasuke's fangirls were booing Naruto for hurting him. They're laying a finger on him. Naruto looked down at Sasuke and said, "Finally, I realize it, Sasuke. What makes shinobi so strong? Hate." And Naruto rose both his hands, interlocking his fingers, and slammed his fist into Sasuke's stomach, mimicking the force of a sledgehammer. Naruto laughed and kicked Sasuke aside, while Sakura watching couldn't just stand there and watch her Sasuke-kun be beaten. She ran in, but Iruka tried shouting at her to come back, but blinded by her love, she didn't. Sakura ran to Naruto and started punching at his back, saying leave him alone, and Naruto glanced over his shoulder and saw her and muttered, "Weak." And he backhanded Sakura into the wall bordering the school, leaving an indent in the wall and Sakura bleeding. Naruto was shocked at his strength. What was that? He looked at the group of academy students and they were in fear. Many ran while others were frozen. Iruka shouted, "Naruto, what are you doing? This isn't you." Naruto shouted back, "You know nothing about me." And he ran at Iruka as well, so fast he barely had enough time to react. Iruka used substitution and Naruto punched through the log. Naruto said, "You can't keep running, Iruka-sensei." Naruto reached into the pouch Iruka laid on the ground with the kunais from the previous test and held them in his hands. Naruto stood still waiting for the perfect timing. Then, quickly he threw them into a tree nearby and Iruka's screams of pain could be heard as he fell down. And Naruto walked slowly towards him. But then Hinata jumped in front of Iruka with her arms extended and said, "Naruto, stop! I know you're not like this." And Naruto said, "Hinata, move." She pleaded with him, "Naruto, please, I'm the only one who cares about you. Naruto, I like..." But before she could finish, Naruto neck chopped her. Naruto now turned his attention to Iruka, and as he walked closer and closer to him, Naruto's body felt numb and he fell over headfirst into the dirt, unconscious. Naruto woke up in a dark room lit by a single candle. He tried moving but realized he was chained by the arms and legs, so he couldn't go far. Naruto's memory slowly began to come back, and even though he wasn't in that influenced state because, alright, I should mention this, Naruto's actions are being controlled but not directly, but false motives are being implanted into him through the curse mark, so his overall view on the world and basically everything is being changed because of that. So Naruto knew it was obvious where he was, a cell. So Naruto laid on the cold hard stone floor for hours before a sound of a heavy metal door shutting echoed throughout. Naruto heard footsteps coming and saw the Hokage robe. It was Hiruzen. Hiruzen was frantic and he opened the cell door and ran at Naruto. He thought he was going to be attacked, but he embraced Naruto in a hug. He said, "The council has decided to kill you, but I won't let it happen, or else your father died for nothing." He began to unlock Naruto's shackles and Naruto rubbed his wrist and Hiruzen said, "Follow me." Naruto just did as he was told and he took him to a opening, and this place was underneath the Hokage mansion and there were numerous emergency exits. So Hiruzen then heard people coming through the door and told Naruto to hurry up. So the two ran and took one of the exits to the forest of the Land of Fire. Hiruzen took out scrolls and said, "This is filled with essential things you'll need for survival." He turned to return to the village before suspicion was raised, but looked back at Naruto and said, "Live for your mother's sake." And Hiruzen disappeared in a cloud of smoke. It was a clone. Naruto looked down at the pile of scrolls in his hands and thought, who are even my parents? Why would Hiruzen just stick his neck out to save him anyways? But little did Hiruzen know, he should have followed the council's advice in taking out Naruto when he had the chance. Now free, Naruto sought power, but before that, he needs to find shelter. Somewhere to stay. So Naruto went on his scavenger type lifestyle and he found a pretty small cave, but good enough for him alone. So he released some of the scrolls, and in them they were filled with equipment from packages of ramen to spark rocks to make fire. So Naruto set up camp and ate a ramen package. So for the next few days, this is how Naruto lived. He would venture out to find anything and find shelter for the night. But while searching, Naruto felt drawn to a certain area and he followed. But this was a long journey which took weeks since Naruto was just walking. Now back at the village, the clan heads and civilian councils were in chaos trying to find where Naruto went. They all came into Hiruzen's office saying he should send his Ambus to find him. Hiruzen initially refused, but when they started saying how he seemed suspicious, like he should just send the entire fleet to find Naruto, so Hiruzen relented and he sent a scroll to Kakashi, who he knew would understand the situation, and to keep the council happy, of course. Back with Naruto, he arrives at a clearing in the forest when he stumbles upon a tree, but on further inspection, the color looked darker and it looked shiny. Naruto went to check it out, and when he did, he realized from tapping on it that this was metal. Naruto tried feeling around for something to pull on, but that's when he felt a slit and opened the door. Naruto looked in and it was a staircase going on the ground. He was hesitant at first, but if this is where he feels he must go, it's most likely going to aid him in the end. So Naruto went down and he stepped into a hallway. It seemed almost endless, the lights were dim and he could hardly see anything a few feet in front of him. So Naruto kept close to the wall, and Naruto was walking for quite a while when he heard a voice coming further down the hallway. So he continued and it became louder and louder. Naruto saw a door open slightly with white light coming from it. So as quietly as possible, he crept around to look inside and saw two people working on a body on an operating table. One had black long hair and the other short silver hair. Naruto was intrigued by what they were doing, but forgot that other people may be roaming around, and that's when a voice from behind him spoke. "Intruder!" Jirobo of the Sound Fork clasped his hands together and said, "Earth trap!" The ground underneath Naruto started to shake and a dome surrounded him. Orochimaru and Kabuto went to check out what was going on, and Jirobo told his master that there was an intruder. Orochimaru licked his lips and said, "So he's finally here. Now Jirobo, let him go. He's going to be your new teammate after all." Jirobo looked confused but followed orders. Naruto was sitting down and Jirobo walked up and extended his hand and said, "Welcome to the team." But that is where I'm going to be leaving this one off. Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. If you liked it, like. If you like my content in general, subscribe. Again, leave in the comments what you want to see Naruto, develop into. What are some of the abilities you wanted to see him to use eventually, and all that good stuff. Or just comment you like the video or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.